Despite what many might believe, Mizuki is one of the strongest and most interesting characters released this season, but his kit can be complicated to understand at first glance for the average player, which is why you might feel he's weaker than he actually is. For that, today we'll go over Mizuki's kit, providing some useful tips, going over his strengths and weaknesses, looking into when you should pick him, and an overall analysis on his identity as a support so you can understand how he's supposed to be played and win more games. As a disclaimer, this is being recorded after the first balance patch of the season, so take that in mind for any further changes he might receive in the future. Remedy Aura heals any ally around you and yourself for a small amount over time. The amount of healing will increase based on how much damage and healing you have dealt, for a maximum of 4x the base amount. Every ability has a different modifier that changes how much you fill up his aura bar, with it overall rewarding dealing damage and landing your chain, as well as maximizing the healing from his Atos. The self-healing from your passive is a bit lower, but is your main form of self-sustain over the course of a match, so it's very important to keep up at its maximum value. The range is very limited, but you shouldn't try to play right next to your allies. It will still provide some sustain and you have other forms of healing for whoever is away from you. Not only you can see on screen how many allies you have inside, but when filled, you will heal some bell ringing for whenever an ally is inside. Mizuki's primary fire launches a glaive that deals impact damage as well as applying a small bleeding effect. While the direct hit can crit, it will not deal bonus bleed damage. The travel range on the projectile is limited and it can only travel 30 meters before disappearing. However, it can bounce indefinitely before it reaches the total distance. Healing Casa throws your hat, healing any targeted ally, and it will bounce up to 2 more times. The way the bouncing works is that it will bounce as long as the ally you target has an ally on line of sight within a certain distance. If it bounces 2 times or there are no other allies that meet that condition, it will bounce back, healing you for a small amount. The healing will get reduced for each time it bounces, but you will always get the same amount when it returns. The ability has 2 charges, but only one hat can be active at a time, so you cannot spam it between charges unless you're close to the targeted ally. This ability can be targeted through shields and will not get destroyed if it gets in contact with one. Mizuki's first ability shoots a chain that, if it hits the target, will deal damage, hinder, and create a small tether area around the target that it can't get out of till it runs out. The duration of both effects is reduced on tanks. This ability is treated like other physical projectiles like Hawk's Hook or Brick's Whipshot, so it can be blocked by matrices, but it can be blocked by barriers. While you cast the ability, you are slowed and you are unable to shoot or cast any other abilities until it comes back, so try not to miss the ability or you will be locked out for a decent amount of time, leaving you vulnerable. You can cancel your melee attack with your chain, start with a primary fire, and you can achieve a pretty deadly combat melee range. Mizuki's second ability grants you a burst of mobility, granting 35 movement speed and allowing Mizuki to recast the ability for a small window of time to get back to the position where you used the ability. The initial burst functions like a jump, so you can hold the jump button to bunny hop, maintaining momentum, or use it as a double jump to get to some areas. The cooldown of ability starts on cast, so there is no punishment if you don't recast it or if you do so late. On your way back, you're immune to damage for a short duration, which can be used to dodge stuff like Div Assault or any other telegraphed ability, similar to Kiriko's TP. You can recast to cancel the animation of your primary fire, but it does not work on your other abilities, so try to not use your chain at the end of it if you plan to get back, because you won't be able to do so and you will get easily killed. The activation of the ability will proc your sub-roll healing regeneration, but the recast will not. Mizuki's ultimate creates an area that functions like Diva's Matrix on its border and on its top, meaning it will block any non-beam or physical projectile. This ability also heals instantly when casting, alongside a small healing over time effect for anyone inside. I personally recommend changing the confirmation bind from the default to ability 3 release, which means the ult will activate the moment you let go of your ult button, making it better as a reactive tool. The ultimate does not block projectiles that are shot from inside, so getting out of it if an enemy got inside isn't effective unless you're trying to escape. For minor perks, Wellspring increases the aura resource generation by 25%, while Exposed Soul makes you deal more damage to enemies you hit with your chain. They're both viable options and depends on a lot of factors. In general, if you're struggling to get your aura charged, which mostly happens against shield tanks, Wellspring will allow you to get in much quicker than just healing and dealing lower amounts of damage, which is especially good if you don't have another support that can constantly heal you from poke. If you're playing more selfishly, flanking and using angles a lot, then Exposed Soul will increase your dueling potential a lot and help you pick key targets. This helps a ton, especially against 225 HP heroes like Mercy and Juno, as you can kill them with one headshot and one body shot during the tether, a breakpoint that you can't achieve without it. The duration is also a flat 2 seconds, which is longer than the tether and isn't reduced on tanks, so you can pressure them more consistently with a higher damage output. For majors, Resonant Return increases the number of bounces to 3, while it increases the healing of each bounce by 10, meaning it would heal 100 for the first target, then 90, 80, and 70, but your self-heal is unchained. Quick Step makes your aura provide speed while your second ability is active. Most of the time you should pick the movement speed perk, as speed is generally a very strong tool to have, and it has good healing as a whole already. It allows for aggressive plays that you really can't do without the extra speed. That being said, if you're playing with a very low healing support like Zen, playing with a comp that generally plays grouped up or on 6v6, then the extra bounce and overall healing output will help you sustain a ton whenever your team is close together, not only making him one of the best healers in the game, but allowing you to charge your ultimate incredibly fast, which can give you an advantage in regards to ult economy. In 5 you generally won't be able to use the extra bounce, making it a lot less useful. If you're enjoying the video, consider leaving a like and subscribing, as it helps me a ton to make more videos in the future. If there is any video you want, you can ask me in the comments down below. Mizuki is a skirmisher support. He excels at close quarters, poking on angles with his primary, but due to limited range and speed, forces you to play usually closer to the enemy team than most support heroes, who can just sit back and poke at people while they heal at a safe distance. Not only because his healing is very cooldown based, meaning you need to provide value elsewhere, but you also need to be able to constantly keep up your passive by dealing damage, which is your main self-sustain tool, and a very strong aspect of the hero now that the support health region is a lot weaker. Generally speaking, you want to pick him into heroes that really dislike getting hindered, like Doomfist, Venture, Reaper, and so on, and while you won't be able to realistically deal enough damage to take them out on your own, the setup is a very powerful aspect of the hero, and being able to cancel abilities like Rocket Punch or Venture's Burrow will get them killed. He also excels on teams that play close together, like most pro comps, as the healing bounce and the AoE healing from his aura are exceptional at sustaining them, well, they support the close range oriented playstyle of Mizuki. He can function on poke and dive, but you will be playing more selfishly and aggressively, which will limit your healing potential, but is still a very valid way to play him due to how safely he can take angles and force duels, grasping attention and reducing the pressure and damage your team takes. He's also not very limited in terms of support pairings. While he's better and more consistent with supports that have offensive-oriented ults and decent sustain like Ana or Juno, he can still provide a lot of healing when paired with heroes like Lucio or Zen, and use his ultimate to try to isolate enemies rather than saving allies. On the other hand, he's quite weak against long range and flying heroes, as his limited range and slow projectiles will be very ineffective against them, limiting not only your damage but your healing output. You could technically pull them down with your chain, but the tether actually takes some time to pull down when the enemy is in the air, making it last a lot shorter. It's also just not something reliable to do, similar to try to whipshot flyers rig. You technically can, it isn't worth the effort most of the time, and it will just get you killed. He also struggles a bit against stationary shields like Dominas, but can generally play around them if the map allows it. Generally speaking, the way you want to play Mizuki is very similar to how you would play Brig or Lucio. Most precisely, he sits right in the middle ground of those two in my opinion. You want to play around cover and corners, but not directly next to your other support, but he isn't as good as Brig at peeling, and you will only make it easier for the enemy to dive both of you, slowly approaching the enemy team while holding an angle or trying to gain space, depending on the mode and the side you're currently playing, looking for potential duels and trades with your Paper Doll and Chain, usually leaving the Paper Doll behind some cover and outside the enemy line of sight, allowing you to safely get in and out even if you fail to kill the enemy. That being said, you need to be careful of the enemy comp, as the moment they see you used it, they will try to take whatever angle you were holding and you will be forced out of it if you want to survive, as you have no other form of movement and your chain is on a much longer cooldown than Lucio's or Brick's book, for example, making him a bit less consistent at holding space, which means you need to be mindful about your engagement and your overall cooldown management. Sometimes it's also not even necessary to hard commit, as the enemy team will naturally try to get on top of you, which you can easily punish or straight up deny with your chain, as if you hit it, you will cut off any movement ability the enemy was using. This is especially strong while defending against heroes like D.Va or Winston, but they can take high ground easily as long as you're there. That being said, if you keep holding the same spot, you will eventually get run over, as those movement abilities have much shorter cooldowns than you have. If you find yourself needing to escape, his paper doll is really good for running away, and you can even do some mind tricks with the recall portion. Be aware though, the enemy can see your original position, and they might be camping it out, waiting for you to come back. If you can guarantee that no enemy is close to it, then it's better to use the movement speed buff and his self-healing as speed options rather than trying to outmaneuver the enemy. If you're holding an angle, you can even stay behind cover and use the bounce mechanic from his primary to safely poke and force the enemy to respect your position. He has the best bounce mechanic out of any hero. You should learn how to use it correctly, as his projectiles are quite big and have no downside from bouncing, making it quite reliable, especially in close spaces. While doing this, you want to always keep an eye on your team, especially paying attention to the health of your DPS and your other support, as your hot toss can fully heal them fast, leaving you more time to do Mizuki things while your cast toss recharges. At first glance, you may think you should sit on top of your team to use his aura to heal, but realistically you're only hindering your team due to how limited its range and overall healing output is. It will still come in handy for dueling, especially if you have a flanking DPS like Tracer next to you, or whenever you are disengaging with your team, but it's not the main focus of the hero like it may seem at first. If your team is more brawl or rush oriented, like when playing with a jungle queen, then naturally you will play closer to your team and have that extra sustain option, but you shouldn't force your precision around your aura. You also don't need to always save your secondary for the potentially highest value, which is when everyone is through path. Killing a single target with it can still be the optimal play depending on the scenario, and you should always prioritize your ally that is closer to being killed as the first target, as they get the most healing out of it. It can also be good to get close to them if necessary, so the hub comes back quicker, allowing you to use it again if you have both charges, as well as hitting them with your aura. His ultimate is more situational compared to Illusion Speed or Sense Trance, but has the potential to nullify multiple ultimates at a time if timed correctly. Even if the enemy doesn't have an ult like Xarias or Soldiers that you can block, you can still use it as a burst heal option as well as a trap, as if you get an enemy inside, they will be unable to get healed by most support which rely on projectiles. This is especially true against heroes like Ana or Juno, who are either forced to get up close or let the ally die, which is always a win for you. The duration is short, however, so you should always try to keep a safe position before it runs out. You don't need to be mechanically gifted to play him, and he's more reliant on game knowledge and awareness, but still want to get the hang out of both his primary and change, as it can be tricky. For the last section, similar to my unrun guide, I will show you myself on a real game so you can see how he's meant to be played. I'm not the best at commentating gameplay, but hopefully it's still of value for anyone watching. Okay, so this is going to be the Mizuki game for the guide. It's going to be a Michael game. Well, pretty standard comp, so this should probably help a lot of you to see how he's meant to be playing these type of games. Generally speaking, I'm playing close to the corner. Unfortunately, he's going to get the punch charge. Here you can really use the bounce mechanic. There are a lot of like walls, which is really good. Unfortunately, I sword turn dive, but there I cancel his punch, which is like the main unique strength of Mizuki, being able to cancel those type of abilities. Okay, unfortunately, I cannot cancel getting one shot by a Hanzo. Luckily, our team seems to be doing good regardless. So that's good. Yeah, that's like his strength is. I just cancelled his slam and got him killed. Unfortunately, yeah, there is a cat, and I don't have that much HP. I'm actually going to die here. Oh, please. Yeah, the cat has just got one. I do not have the HP to get this. My god. Not the best matchup, but I got him with the chain, so that was a free kill. Unfortunately, the cat didn't get in time. No. I was a bit more scared of the cat. Probably not the best ult usage, but still worked out, so. Up. Nice kills. And the cat is already trying to cheese it out again. Miss the ult. Got Doomfist. Ah!
Pretty good lamp. Hopefully Orion doesn't die here. A pretty high... I'm maintaining my my passive pretty much at max, even if I don't have the perk in this game. Because I don't have any shields or something that can like, make it a lot harder. That's unfortunate. The Doomfist, I think, thought I was going to get back. I didn't, but the card was there, so yeah, I got killed. Oh, still didn't get it. Although that was a really good round to show up how you need to play Mizuki. I just denied the Doomfist for doing basically anything. I got my passive up basically all game. And I could pretty much sustain my DPS and even the tank with somewhat ease. It also helps out, like, this is the ideal comp with Mizuki. It's basically like a brawl tank with the usual, like, you know, hit scan and flex CPS. And a support like Juno that not only has a really strong, like, overall healing output, but also a really good offensive ultimate that complements well with his defensive ult. And also, like, because it's Juno, like the same for Ana, Ana and Juno both are really weak against dive, so having a hero that like can cancel any type of movement ability is pretty ideal for those type of characters. He cannot like completely counter dive like a full dive comp, no, but he can still like help out a lot with like, especially the tanks. He's very good at cancelling Doomfist, Winston, and Diva's engage. Not so much Genji or Tracer. But even Tracer, like, he has the damage to, like Tracer needs to respect Mizuki. His damage up close is pretty good because of the melee cancel onto the chain.
Okay, let's trash him.
I got one, but chaining a full HP tank isn't exactly valuable. Especially a Diva or Winston, it can help, but I don't think that all that has 6 block isn't a good idea. It's better to save it up. So that was a mistake. Ah. Oh, got the Doomfist. Killed May. I think I'm dead here, but this is pretty much a GG. So well, that's how you play Mizuki. A pretty short game to showcase, but I think this was like overall pretty successful to show his strengths and how you're meant to be moving around the map and basically disrupting the enemy tank. That is his main value in 5v5, especially disrupting the tank. If you play on 6v6, his healing output comes a lot. His passive comes a lot as a very strong ability, especially with the bounce of his healing castle. But of course, the guide is mainly for 5v5. So yeah, if you liked the video, remember to leave a like and subscribe, and hope to see you on the next one.